and the landowners were exporting food out of Ireland whilst the people were starving. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, really. But what it did result in is a large number of itinerant workers to dig the canals and, more importantly, the new railways. There were no JCBs, so they needed strong Irish navvies to come and dig those railway embankments and tunnels and things, and obviously continue populating the expanding empire. And that is really the historical background to what has inspired me to try and do my little bit to help reverse that. And reversing it under the current rules that we live in today.
But you're not allowed. Get off my land.
Get off my land, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed. The government says no.
But actually, the government doesn't say no. The rules do say that you can. Now, our program isn't for people who want to build a McMansion and try and find a loophole to do that. It's not for that. It's for people
not building a moon base in the middle of a country.
We're trying to help people who genuinely and are inspired by the idea of living on the land, growing their own clean, chemical-free food. Or they can grow what you can do what you like when you've got your land. But we're inspired by the idea of food that is free of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, biocides, industrial fertilizers. It is not necessary to use those to grow your own food. You can eat food that is unadulterated by poisons. The words that, well, let's think about it. The word sides, C-I-D-E-S. It's Greek. You know, the etymology of that word is Greek. It means to kill or death. So farmers spray their wheat crops. They do a thing called terminating the wheat with a product called glyphosate. The biggest class action lawsuit in America was for cancers caused as a result of glyphosate. Wow. And the farmers use it to the farmers in Britain use it to terminate their wheat and barley crops to make it easier to harvest, so they get an extra maybe 5% yield.
They put glyphosate on it and then harvest it.
Yeah, it's a herbicide. Yes, it's a herbicide, so it's used to get rid of weeds, but they also use it to make it easier to harvest. So it dries out, it desiccates the wheat effectively, so it makes it easier to harvest. It makes it you gain about 5% yield.
It loses the moisture. I remember seeing on Clarkson's farm, they were waiting for the moisture to drop in the wheat before they could harvest it. So they spray it, they add it, yes. Now, the thing is, you then think to yourself, well, the argument is, it only has a life of 6 months, which is not true, by the way. It lasts a lot longer than that. But the fact is, that's fine if you're spraying it a year before when the weeds are coming up. But if you're spraying it just before harvest, well, it's going to go on the harvest, isn't it? Yeah. And if that harvest is then used for malting barley, for going into beer, all those people drinking beer are going to be possibly drinking, I don't know, needs to be checked out, verified, but it's...
Beer makes me go a bit funny when I drink it.
Well, there you go. It's not the alcohol, it's the glyphosate. Right. Anyway, that's enough waffling.
Let's backtrack just a little bit. How easy is it to buy land? Can I wake up today and see a bit of land, call the estate agent, decipher some of their inconsistencies and lies, and say, I'm going to put in an offer on this, and can I buy this?
You can, in some circumstances,
So I just need to have the available capital to buy it?
Yeah, if you've got the money, a lot of farmland, most farmland is sold sort of between farmers.
Okay.
But land does come available, but normally it will be in areas, it will be agricultural land, so you can't just go and build on agricultural land. Okay. That's the key point. You can't buy a piece of 10 acres of farmland, or 4 acres, or an acre, or whatever, or 100 acres, and just build on it. And this is where it gets complicated.
Okay, so I want to take baby steps on this.
Okay.
So I've seen the bit of land.
Yeah.
How do I buy the land? Do I just go and get a mortgage from Halifax?
Before we answer that, why are you talking about buying land and not buying a farmhouse with a couple of barns and 15 acres?
Okay, so my selfish reason is culturally, so I'm from East Africa. I was born and raised in Uganda until I was 6. And culturally, we as a family, we buy land and we build our own house and we raise our family in there. And I've just had this innate drive to always build my own house because I want it to flow a certain way. I want the garage in this place. I want the living room to look like this and lead into the kitchen and have that whole communal space. And just, this is what I have. I want
That's the vision.
to have a proper ensuite and a walk-in wardrobe. Like these are just key things that I like because all the houses that I've seen, I fit my life into them instead of the house fitting my life.
Yes.
So that's my.
That's your motivation.
Yeah, that's my thing.
And what other motivations do you think people might have in general?
I think it's getting to that freedom of being mortgage free, of being self-sustainable, to know that I can build a solar farm and run my own power and I don't need gas and just living completely self-sustainable. Yeah,
well I think one of the points you just raised there is mortgage free because on average, if you're looking at buying a homestead in the UK, not in the north of some Welsh mountain or in the North York moors, or in fact they're probably expensive there because of holiday homes, but you know, in a far-flung place, you're probably looking at spending or paying about £1 million, probably more. I don't know.
If it's residential already, that's the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That if it's got a farmhouse already and the precedent is that you can live there, the price per acre is going to be large.
Yeah.
Okay.
80, 100,000 more. Whereas the price per acre for agricultural land is on average £10,000 to £12,000.
Unless you're a killer negotiator like yourself and got it for a lot less than that.
Wow.
And it amplifies depending on that agricultural land that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get it as low as 3,000 or 4,000, and it could be, if you only bought an acre and it's outside a major town, it might cost you £50,000 or £60,000 just for an acre of agricultural land. Yeah. But on average, it's about £10,000 to £12,000. Interestingly enough, though, you would in the UK, for people who are outside of the UK watching this, London is the most expensive part of the UK, and the area around London is extremely expensive for residential properties. So a house that in the Midlands might cost 500,000, in the same house, you know, a house on say an acre of land, if it was in what we call the stockbroker belt in Surrey, or that's what they used to call it in the olden days, isn't it?
Yeah.
That might be £2 or £3 million.
Yeah.
You know, the physical same size house on the same plot of land. And so one would imagine that agricultural land would follow the same, you know, be 4 or 5 times the price. Or 6 times the price, but it's not true. Agricultural land might only be 20% more, 20 to 50% more outside London. So there is a big opportunity for people who want to live on a farmstead to be able to acquire something affordable in and around London, if they can navigate the process to actually convert the bare agricultural land to residential. And that's what our programme, the programme we're trying to prove.
That's what I saw 2012.
Yeah.
In 2012, I picked up that book, Field to Farm, by David Ackerman. Everybody's got to read that book, find it. I think the price of it is ridiculous now on Amazon. I think it's like 70 odd quid. I've passed my Field to Farm book up.
We need to set the library, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, that people can borrow it.
I've passed that to anybody who's interested in reading it, basically. 2012, I read that book because I had the opportunity to move out of London and buy land. And I read that book and it showed me a way of acquiring